What is the meaning of life? This question haunts mankind since the beginning of time. No matter what day and age, mankind always questions the meaning of life and search for answers to this question. Many people have their own opinions on what they think the meaning of life is. Love, money, happiness, dreams, the list goes on. I'm here to tell you that I strongly believe Persona 3 answered this unanswerable question, and that Persona 3 is one of the best video games created of all time. And if you've never played it before, I highly recommend you get your hands on Persona 3 Reload and enjoy the story for yourself. What up guys, Alchemist here, and I got something nice for you. This was my first time playing Persona 3 ever, and dive into the story, its characters, the music, and gameplay. I wanted to give my review and opinion on the game sooner, but it took me a minute to beat the game twice on merciless difficulty. Not that it was hard for me, just that I was a perfectionist and wanted 100% everything and got addicted and trapped inside the Persona world. I think a lot of us can agree with our 150 plus hours of save files on Persona 3. But anyway, disclaimer, this video will have spoilers of the game. Also, I have no info on the Aegis episode, The Answer, and can't wait to experience it for the first time when it drops September. So please don't spoil anything from that section of the story of Persona 3 in the comment section. I would appreciate it. I don't mind revisiting this topic after I play the DLC if I need to. So, my first time playing Persona 3 Reload, I enjoyed the game, but didn't find nothing out the ordinary when I first started playing it. It reminded me of its counterparts, Persona 4 and Persona 5, just with less quality of life aspects. The game was old school dungeon crawling RPG grind fest, you know, the old school RPG, you know what I'm saying? And the social links were all that special, useful like confidants of Persona 5, to the point that they came off as uninteresting or forced sometimes, which made my first few hours of the game kind of rough and boring. It wasn't until the story started ramping up that it finally grabbed my attention and immersion and became one of my favorite games of all time from the storytelling perspective. If anyone doesn't know, Persona games usually has themes they are revolved around that makes the game story. My first playthrough of Persona 3, I didn't look up what the theme was, I just jumped right into it. Persona 5 was about gaining freedom from society's limitations and standards, bring that rebel out of you. Persona 4 was about seeking the truth and facing oneself, facing that facade you always put on in front of people, and overcoming that and being your true self, your true authenticity, without caring about what people think about you. Persona 3 theme was revolved around morality, overcoming fear, and having acceptance of life. And not just any kind of acceptance either, even the theme of accepting death, which I think is a heavy topic that we avoid religiously in society, even though it's always going to be a part of life. Which made this game hit me on a deeper level because of how much of a serious undertone it had compared to its counterparts. If I played this game as a kid when it first released, this game's message probably would have went over my head or would have turned me into an edgelord. This game don't seem like it should have been made for teenagers, high school age kids. It seemed like it was very mature for when it came out, that it would have been targeted towards a mature audience, adult audience. In the game, majority, if not everyone, experienced some form of death in their past or present. So much that some social links, I thought developers were just throwing death in them just to make me feel bad for them. Like, I felt like it was forced at first. List of people, again, this is before I even knew anything about the theme of the game was revolved around, death and whatnot, morality and whatnot. So, list of people that dealt with death in the game are Misuru, her father and best friend dies. Yukari, her father died. The MC, Makoto, his parents died. Junpei, his girlfriend died, kinda, sorta. Akihiko, his little sister died and best friend dies. Shinji or Shinjiro killed someone and died himself. Ken, mother died. The old couple, their son died. Bebe, auntie died. Well, dies. Hayase, father died. Gourmet King, I think his name Nazumi, probably one of the most annoying social links doing that game. His brother died. Akinari is literally called Dying Young Man as his description. I rest my case. If I missed anyone, let me know down below. But if the characters weren't experiencing death, they were experiencing fear they had to overcome. Whether it was an identity crisis, which a lot of them were going through, even on top of death being thrown into the mix, fear of loss, fear of the future and not knowing what they're going to do with their life, so on and so forth. These characters that I thought were boring ended up becoming more relatable and understanding as I got further in their social link, or understood this theme more on my second playthrough of the game. These social links started becoming more, like I said, relatable in a real life standpoint of problems that we deal with in everyday life. So they became more meaningful. Akinari went from one of my top 3 most boring social links to probably my #1 favorite social link in the game. When I first met him, he was depressing. I didn't like that. He was just boring. I was like, who is this guy? He's gonna die. I don't care for him. But then I kept playing. I was like, oh nah, this guy, he's #1 in my book. He's #1. But let me backtrack before I speak on him even further, because he kind of guides the player to figuring out the answer to the meaning of life. So, not only does the characters in the game speaks heavily of the game's theme, the music in the game also speaks on the theme of the game and the answer to the question if you listen to the lyrics close enough, especially in Full Moon, Full Life, the opening theme to the game. So one of the main lyrics in the song says, venture life, burn your dread. If you don't know what dread means, it's basically another word for fear, to be afraid of. When people hear the word fear, they immediately think scared of something. But fear has multiple connotations around it. In psychology and spirituality, fear stems into jealousy, anger, self-doubt, desire, lack of, feeling useless, etc. Basically, fear is the feeling of not accepting reality for what it is and having a negative expression towards it. You wish things were different and going your way, but since it's not going your way, now you feel disturbed, scared, jealous, useless, angry, so on and so forth. The lyrics venture life, burn your dread is basically saying explore the unknown things we call life and get rid of all your fears that's keeping you from walking life's journey. So the game implemented characters that goes through these said fears and have to overcome them in order to get closer to the meaning of life. With social links like Fuka overcoming the self-doubt within her and stepping out her comfort zone to become a better her, which leads to the evolution of her persona. Odagiri overcoming his fear of not wanting to turn out like his dad, to later on understand his dad's perspective at the end of his social link. Miyamoto facing his fear of taking a break from track until his knee heals up because he was afraid of breaking his promise with his nephew and afraid of the future, what the future held for him if he couldn't run track anymore. Chihiro finally stepping out her comfort zone to speak up for herself and find her voice. Maya finally stopped complaining about her tough life and accepting it and deciding to give it her all and become a better version of herself as well to get her life back on track. Man, I wish I could have dated her. Anyway, Kisuke made up his mind on what he wanted to be in the future and stopped being afraid of what others and his dad thought of him. Yuko stopped self-doubting her own abilities and finally decided what she wanted to be in the future. Matatsu stopped running away and finally faced his wife and son and got his family back. Not only did the song talk about overcoming your fear, it also talked about life being rough and how we never know if our path is moving in the right direction, which a lot of these social links had an issue with. But I think a lot of us can relate to in real life, us fearing, is we doing the right thing in life? Are we walking the right path? How will things turn out? Should I try this? Should I try that? Should I make this decision? Never knowing if the steps we're taking in life is going in the right direction and fearing the unknown of what the future holds for us. But the lyrics also states that no one knows where the journey takes them. Just be brave and bold to step into the unknown, because it will lead to something, and sometimes that journey preps you for that unknown destination. This part is important info for the answer that Persona 3 came up with for the meaning to life. So keep that point memorized, because I would tie it in later on. In the full version of the song Full Moon, Full Life, they continue to speak on loss in the second verse, about how fear won't stop death, but it will stop life, and that you shouldn't cry about death, but instead cherish and realize what they left behind. I'm not going to cite all the lyrics. You'll just have to go listen to the full song and you'll see what I mean. But that's basically what a lot of the characters end up accepting in the grand scheme of things in the game. Junpei accepts Chidori's death and cherishes her within his heart. Gone but not forgotten, which causes his persona to evolve, which is very important because in Persona games, personas evolve when one overcomes the theme of the game and learns their lesson. Junpei also overcomes his jealousy of Makoto by the end of the game, the MC. Yukari overcomes her feeling of feeling useless and accepts her father's death finally, cherishing the words he left behind for her and evolving her persona. Misuru, exactly the same. She stopped feeling like she was useless and decided to cherish her father's dream and picked up the mantle to end the dark hour for good and take care of the company, evolving her persona. Akihiko and Ken both accepted Shinji's death, cherished words he left behind for them, and evolved their personas from it. The old couple accepted their son's death and cherished what all he did for the high school. Bebe accepted his auntie's death and cherished her and went back to his country to help his grieving uncle. The song not only was referring to death though, it was also referring to loss in general, like Maiko dealing with the loss of a two-parent household through the divorce. The gist of the opening theme is, life is rough and no one knows how it's going to turn out. But keep moving forward despite your fear, because things will get better and you'll understand how once you make it out to the other side. Now back to Akinari, the dying young man. Yes, the description, the dying young man. Crazy to put that in the game. He's the most unique and subtle social link in the game. When you first meet him through Maiko's social link, you just think he's a strange, mysterious guy. But once you start talking to him, it's a huge 180, especially correlating with the theme of the game. If you didn't know the theme of the game, he comes off as someone you don't really care for. But once you understand the theme of the game, he hits you different. Everyone in the game so far was dealing with some form of fear, whether it was a social link having an identity crisis to a social link dealing with the loss of a loved one. Akinari was different. Akinari was the one dying. He was the one that was fearing death. But even though he feared it, not in the scared way, but in the angry, this not fair, why this happened to me type of way, which I think we all can relate to when life doesn't go our way, he still didn't wish his pain or agony on others. Whenever you talk to him, it was always depressing, to the point that I didn't like talking to the guy on my first playthrough. But once I got further into the social link, my man started getting deep with me. He kept it real. Straight up. He went from feeling bad for himself to slowly accepting his fate. He starts off questioning what the meaning of life, to having an answer towards the end of his social link before dying. He went from running away from inevitable death to accepting it peacefully. He didn't like finishing books because he feared the end of things, and waking up back to reality of where he fated to die to his illness soon, which is something people do in everyday life, even inside the game, just with other means. We use stuff to distract ourselves from the reality of things we're going through, so we don't have to face it head on. We use relationships to distract us, alcohol, partying, drugs, etc. to keep our minds off of reality that we don't want to face. Characters in the game that does that besides him are Akihiko, when he kept working out to get stronger instead of addressing the Shinji situation and getting over his little sister's death. The old monk Mutasu drinking his problems away at the club instead of confronting his family. Nazumi eating his problems away instead of addressing his problem with his brother's death and having an identity crisis. Akinari decided to write a children's book to express one's meaning to life. The story was about a pink alligator that couldn't hunt for food because his pink skin made it difficult, and other animals shunned him because he stood out. A bird that couldn't fly ended up befriending the pink alligator. One day, the pink alligator accidentally ate his friend while he was asleep. He drank swamp water to vomit the bird back up, but it was too late. The bird died, and he couldn't bring himself to eat anything afterwards. He cried, and cried, until he drowned in his own tears. His tears created a lake that grew flowers and bore fruit. The other animals that shunned him came to relax there, never knowing the pink alligator was the cause of that area, and that he was gone. That he was the one that created that lake, that he was the one that bore the fruit there for them to eat. The end. Ainar realized that it wasn't his job to figure out what was the meaning to his life, and that he shouldn't be spending time trying to figure it out. That he should be spending his life affecting others, leaving it to them to give his life meaning, just like the animals gave the pink alligator's life meaning. He then continues to say that simply living gives our life meaning, that people can't survive without the help from others. We all depend on one another. Which was so deep. It had me getting out my chair, pacing back and forth in my room, because this man was spitting nothing but gems. Instantly became my favorite social link with that quote. There's a quote by Alan Watts that I love that says, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." Your existence itself is the meaning of life. You don't have to accomplish a certain goal or aspiration. Just you living is enough. Just enjoy the life you're living. That's all you have to do. And when Ainar said we need each other to survive, it's true. People grow crops for everyone to eat. People filter our water that we can use to drink, bathe, and cook every day. Clothes, gas, houses, teachers, doctors, born and raised by our parents. Everything we do help and affect others. Even this YouTube video right now is affecting someone's life right now. Even when you die, your corpse feeds the soil, the earth, the plants. The plants feed the animals. Humans feed on the animals. And the food chain repeats itself. Ainar was truly the hidden message of the game in disguise. And it's easy to not understand if you don't analyze the social link. It gets deeper though. I purposely left out a lyric from Full Moon, Full Life that I want to mention now that also plays a part of Persona 3 answer to the question, what is the meaning to life? In the song, they say, Carpe Diem. I believe that's how you pronounce it. In case you don't know what Carpe Diem means, it means to urge someone to make the most of the present moment and give little thought to the future. Listen, I can sit here for hours talking about this game and its theme. From the game all the way to the movies. I can do that. I can sit here for hours and do that. And point out multiple different things in the game. If that wasn't direct enough for some of you all watching on What's the Meaning of Life, I'll break it down for y'all to make it even more clear. As most of y'all all know, Makoto, the MC, dies at the end of the game. Before he dies, during the final fight, he thinks of all his friends and how he cherished them so much that he's willing to die in order to protect their lives and their happiness, even if they don't remember when he did what he did for them. Because at that moment, when the dark hour goes away, everybody loses their memories. Just like the pink alligator. That's what Makoto's finna be, the pink alligator. Which end up adding meaning to his life for others without them even knowing what he did, because of everybody losing their memories from the dark hour disappearing. But like I said, just like the pink alligator, Makoto ends up adding meaning to his life, not because he worked towards adding meaning to it, but because the ones he affected with his life are able to add meaning to his life. Let me say that again, in case some of y'all missed it in the back. It's not, he didn't add meaning to his life from doing actions. His life got meaning from the ones he affected. Those people he affected gonna add meaning to his life, because they gonna be the ones that say he was an amazing person. They gonna be the ones that say he did this and this for me. They gonna be the ones that got the memories that they share with him that makes him special. They gonna be the one that gives his life meaning. And it's not even going to the fact, like, when Makoto risked his life at the end, when everybody worried about him, he told them it's okay. And they didn't weigh that in a lot, because they just too worried about is he alive or not, and he just told them it's okay. Like that hit home. Like he didn't care about dying or anything. He was just happy that he was able to affect their life. He was just happy he was able to affect their lives, bro. Anyway, he wasn't afraid to die, nor was he thinking about his future. All he knew was how much he cherished them and they cherished him, and that the memories they shared were eternal. He was living in the present moment and was giving it his all despite not knowing what the future holds. And that's Persona 3 answer to the meaning of life. The meaning to life is to just exist. No matter how rough life gets, keep pushing forward and don't be fearful of the future. Be the best you and cherish the ones you love, because they add meaning to your life just like you add meaning to theirs. Spread love, joy, laughter, happiness, memories, peace, advice, and support those around you and enjoy your life to the fullest. Just like Akinari's mother, after you beat the game, tells you, tell the ones that you cherish that you love them. It don't have to be something grand. You don't have to make a big scene out of it. Just tell them you love them, because you never know when you won't be able to tell them that. You don't have to be rich to feel accomplished and happy. Just like Tanaka's social link proved. He felt good after doing charity. After he was so worried about just making money. He didn't feel good until he started doing charity and affecting others. You don't need to accomplish something grand. All you gotta do is exist and not be afraid of the unknown future laid in front of you from the steps you take in life. You don't need a relationship. You don't need money. You don't need to accomplish some grand adventure, goal/dream. Enjoy the journey no matter how long it may take. Accept whatever life throws at you and grow from the journey to become a better you. All that matters is you affecting the ones around you with as much love that you can give them. We all can learn from the characters from Persona 3, especially Akinari. We don't have to fear the future. We don't have to fear death. We don't have to fear being ourselves. We just have to enjoy life and exist with the time that we have. Just like the quote, Carpe diem, don't waste your time in life worrying and fretting about the things you fear and what the future holds and whatnot. Just live in the present moment and do the best you can at that present moment. All you got to do is vent your life and burn your dread.